Also, no one is really ready for those made up costs to definitely come true, guys. What they'll do is exactly what they want to do if they want to catch as many people as possible before Rome 2.0 comes out. This amount of Bitcoin could be called the Bitcoin Archive 1 million Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. Is taking place. Okay, the Bitcoin Act of 2024 is now fully operational. After that, a senator or an AC senator will say that it is in the works. Guys, do you understand what I'm talking about? That's why I'm sure a lot of people will push too early. Pennsylvania has introduced a bill to make a Bitcoin strategic reserve. Just before Donald Trump moves into the White House, don't forget to check Bitcoin in case it suddenly goes up to $300, $500, or $1 million per coin. You know what that means for XRP? XRP worth a lot of money. Ethereum maybe between 60 and 70,000 USD, guys. Now that Pennsylvania has officially introduced a bill to make a Bitcoin strategic reserve for the state, things are going to get crazy. Yes, of course. Man, I think something is going to happen. The weird thing is that we haven't seen anything because, guys, in the most up-to-date film, we're seeing some crazy Bitcoin fee numbers. On the other hand, if Bitcoin goes up, it's like all other coins are tied to Bitcoin in terms of value. So the other casual to now, it's likely that Trump's second term will include a strategic reserve for crypto. Senator Cynthia had warned Trump before that the bill should be signed into law within the first 100 days of a 2D time period. That sounds like something that would happen in the first part of 2025, or at least 2025. The way it fits in with our history is very interesting. Okay, this is why I believe a lot of people who get out too early, guys. Okay, this is a funny gadget. Men, you can do something. But my goal here is, again, the year 2026. Actually, the story they're using for this bill is that Bitcoin can help keep inflation in check and provide more diversification than standard reserves. Guys, this funny story about inflation is a real top-notch story. That person or people who came up with that idea must be famous because it's the craziest reason why they could be pumping Bitcoin to such crazy highs. The CEO of Galaxy Digital now says that Bitcoin will reach $500,000 if the internet sets up a Bitcoin reserve. All right, Bitcoin reserve. And since I do a lot of Bitcoin, I'm not going to cry anymore. Crocodile tears will be shed if you see me crying. I think Bitcoin will reach 500,000. Once more, it's a completely different way of thinking because it forces each other USA. And countries are already looking for it. A good friend of mine, the person who really introduced me to Bitcoin in 2013, is in the Middle East right now. He also said that he has never seen anything like it in his whole career. In the 3 days he's been there, he's convinced more people to buy Bitcoin than at any other time. And they have a lot of money in them. So what happened around the world when Trump said in Nashville that he was going to be a crypto president or Bitcoin president? He's now president. I want you to know that different leaders heard the same thing. Right now, this is pretty much a domino effect. I want to think about, he says that while the government is printing as much money as they want, the best story for Bitcoin is that it's a hard asset to have in a world where fiat currencies are going to lose value. That's the story, forget everything else. Taking it at face value, it is correct. That's where the market is going, and you'll use certain stories to lure people in and get them to buy a little Bitcoin. Don't think about who it might be. I'm not telling you guys this is a joke, but I'm going to buy Bitcoin while it's still cheap. Since years ago, I've said this when it's at a minus 99.5% chance that the peak will happen, whether it's men or women. That's what I'm looking for right now. It's possible for us to meet these crazy guys who make false predictions about fees along with 500 billion. Why? Because of the foreign liquidity test, send 200,000 Bitcoin right away. So every time this happens, it basically means the end of the International Liquidity Index. What happened is that it broke out of resistance every cycle and held it as a guide, turning resistance into support, and it just went through the roof. The same part here, guys, take a look at that. The exact same thing is happening right now. The next important step is right now when Bitcoin is at 90,000, and we haven't even been through these crazy beyond cycles meant for the end cycles meant for the end to. What do you think happens to Bitcoin when this seems right while the end to supply grows to the highest order? Bitcoin is probably going to go up to a lot of hundreds of dollars, if not more. Ethereum is really up to around $30,000, which is 20,000 times RP. My moon goal is $9,100, mend the cycle. Without a doubt, I believe it's possible, right? I definitely think it's possible, guys. These are the stories we're going to use, so we were given them to help with growing. Now all we need is a way to print them. That's the end of story one. The story here, guys, is that the market cap for Tether goes up, the Bitcoin fee comes next. The story really does have three parts. Most of the big players are buying, and Goldman Sachs just said it owned more than $710 million worth of Bitcoin through an ETF. For those of you who believe in the supply shock, Bitcoin FOMO has finally arrived. The one-third story is that those people are buying a lot. Our bet has reached the $40 billion mark in just 211 days, destroying a preceding record that took over 1,000 days to complete. Check out the money coming in for the EBITDA TFM. It's 4 times what these other ones can rent for. Okay? But what really takes the cake is how much interest there is from the public in buying and investing in Bitcoin, especially in the older days. That's why we might also see some people are laughing at us for calling XRP $589, right? I don't know if you guys saw this, but Michael Saylor says on CNBC that Bitcoin will reach $13 million. But Bitcoin Max can say that Bitcoin will be worth more than $10 million, right? Right on. So I don't know if there's a chance, but the only thing I know for sure is that there will be a fall apart. It will happen before these very good macro changes. So guys, there needs to be great rallies first. I don't know about 13 million, but I agree that Bitcoin is worth a lot of money. If we do see 13 million, we'll have 10,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 more coins than we need. That's right, Bitcoin has 1% of the world's capital right now. I think it will reach 7% of the capital in the next year, and I think it will reach 13 million over the next 21 years. What does he mean when he talks about guys about 21 years old? Okay, that makes a lot more sense, guys. Okay. I bet it's not too far from this international. I bet that in 5 years, your 4-year math will show that it has been growing by 44% a year with an average of 40 to 50 volt. I think it will keep going at 40%, then drop to 35%, then 35%, then 30%, and finally 25%. There will also be times when the SP return is plus 8% and times when the SP vol is plus 8%. Because it is always going to be a bigger foreign open free capital market. Could you really reach that rate goal? Well, Bitcoin is now worth $90,000, but only 0.5% of people in the world are using it. I mean, can everyone in the world use Bitcoin? Is it even possible for a certain percentage of the world's population to use Bitcoin? I mean, we're not even close to that number yet, but ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood says Bitcoin will reach $1 billion by 2030. Okay. The best thing about all of these things that makes me really excited is that if Bitcoin does go in the direction of bigger fees, there will be so much extra money they'll flow into Lcoins Men, which is going to be terrible. We've seen what happened with all cash when Bitcoin's power went down a bit in the last week or two. Now, imagine Bitcoin at $350,000 with $1 million worth of Bitcoin drifting into other altcoins. Guys, good job. You know what I mean? We have a goal for 2030. In our base case, it's about $650,000. In our bull case, it's between $1 and $1.55 million. Don't forget that we were the first public asset manager to buy Bitcoin in 2015.